All right, we'll get right into conduct of business. The first item is 10A, adopt a resolution consenting to inclusion of all properties within San Bruno in the California HERO program to finance generation renewable energy sources, energy and water efficiency improvements, and electric vehicle charging infrastructure, and amending the Western Riverside Council of Governments Joint Powers Agreement, adding the City of San Bruno as an associate member of the Joint Powers Authority. Angela?
Oh, there it is. Just want to give you a brief background on the PACE program. State law authorizes a legislative body, such as the City Council, to designate an area in which property owners may enter into a voluntary contractual assessment program in order to finance an array of conservation and renewable energy products. This is known as a Property Assessed Clean Energy Program, or PACE program. PACE programs allow property owners within participating jurisdictions to finance the total cost of the installation of energy generation, energy efficiency, and water conservation improvements on their own properties, and repay the loans through assessments that are placed on their property tax bills. Participation in this is 100% voluntary for the property owners. Repayment of the loan through the property tax bill is intended to provide the property owner with the flexibility of having the unpaid portion of the loan run with the property in the event it is sold. The new owner would then assume responsibility for the remaining amount to be repaid through the property tax bill, thereby reducing any financial loss if the property is sold before any energy savings is realized. However, there are some banks that have stated that they are not willing to purchase these mortgages, so the property owner may have to sell or refinance their home, or may have to repay the assessment. In 2010, the City of San Bruno adopted a resolution authorizing the city to participate in California First program, which allowed property owners within the city limits to voluntarily participate in its PACE program. Since that time, additional PACE programs have become available, and specifically the California HERO program. There are some advantages of offering multiple PACE programs. Various PACE programs tend to focus on different types of customers. The HERO program focuses the majority on residential. Others may focus more on commercial. It provides property owners with multiple financing options, and increased competition could positively impact interest rates. Also, I found out today that in the staff report we had mentioned that there was a prepayment penalty. This payment penalty is only for commercial. It was recently changed, so residential property owners would not have to pay the penalty. For cities, there are some, or for the city itself, there are some advantages. This is an economic development plan that is available to the city at no cost. It promotes a greener environment. It reduces energy consumption, creates sustainable jobs, and lowers greenhouse gas emissions. Just a little additional information. The California HERO program is a financing program only. The city is not responsible for the products, the installation, or their performance. And a few local participants in the HERO program are Menlo Park, Foster City, Redwood City, Daly City, and San Mateo County. That concludes my report. I'm available for any questions. I also have John Law here from the HERO program to answer any specific questions.
Good. Any questions? Ken?
Through the chair, I noticed in the staff report that it was adopted in 2010, but it was placed on hold. So this is brand new, if I'm correct. And so I'd like to know, and I asked you before the meeting, if we can have some examples. What are we expecting to see if residents want to participate in this? I noticed that it says renewable energy resources, energy and water efficiency improvements, and electrical vehicle charging infrastructure. The first thing that came to my mind is resident want to put up a windmill, something. And I mean, obviously there are, that renews energy, but I mean, is that something that that we want to see cropping up, in our neighborhoods? I mean, in addition to photovoltaics and the such. So,
I believe there's specific eligible products, and
just want to know what we can expect.
Sure. Hi, I'm John Law. I'm with the HERO program, work here in Northern California in government relations. Thank you for your interest tonight. There's a number of San Mateo communities that have opted in or about to, so we appreciate your interest. I'll give you some basics on the types of projects we do. About 2/3 of what we do are in the energy efficiency category. So that's water conservation, which might be artificial turf, it might be low-use indoor fixtures, it might be low-use outdoor plumbing and fixtures, it might be hardscape, et cetera. So we're doing a number of water conservation projects. We do a lot of windows and doors that meet the energy efficient requirements. We do quite a bit of roofing that meets the energy efficient standards, as well as heating and air conditioning. Finally, about 1/3 of what we do is solar, PV. Now, while the legislation does provide that some wind turbines could be eligible for the program, HERO requires that all local planning, zoning, permitting processes are adhered to, so I would likely assume that we're not going to see much more than solar popping up where it's allowed in your community. So we've done about 17,500 projects so far in California only. That said, that's about 95% of the nation's financing with this type of work. And that equates to over $500 million in utility savings for the life of these projects. So we're improving the quality of people's residences, the property values, creating some jobs and saving folks quite a bit of money on their utility bills.
Any other questions?
So if I could just follow up, I mean,
Yeah,
so I'll look at the website and everything, and if adopted, do you have a good marketing program? And
We
people
do, sure.
will be able to, fairly reasonable application process and such?
Yeah. So we take pride in a high-quality product, and I'll field all the questions that you're willing. So with the population here and with the region just developing, if the city were to adopt tonight, it's going to be a number of months before we go live in the program. It's procedural elements that are required by the legislation. The program takes care of all of it. The city doesn't have to. But what that means is we'll be launching down the road. What that means for the county is many of the cities are coming on board. So I'll give you some San Jose statistics, for example, which launched in July. We have already approved over $20 million in projects for the city of San Jose, just launching in July, and have funded over $1 million worth. I have some other data points, if you'd like, that we are early on, so some of those ratios, as far as 1/3 solar and 1/3 HVAC and that, looks a little different here in Northern California. It's looking like HVAC will be a little bit more of a bigger bucket, but it's early to tell the data points. What we do is we hire local people that work with contractors every day in the field and work with property owners so that we go to where the business is and we go to where the need is. For example, if the furnace breaks in December, it's cold here, somebody wants to get warm air right away. We don't interrupt that workflow, and we get contractors at the point where they're serving property owners. And we have robust tools that help them give instant approvals or determine that this product, this financing tool won't work for the property owner, and they need to find some other way to do the project.
Could I insert here for just a minute and go back to the council member's original question about your example of a windmill? This is a financing program. It is strictly a program that provides an option for residents to secure loans in order to finance improvements that they might want to make. Any and all energy efficiency improvements, just like any other residential improvements, must adhere to the city's planning and zoning building requirements. And so just because a financing program is available doesn't mean somebody can put a windmill in their backyard. My guess is that our zoning and building codes probably would make that very difficult.
Right, and I wouldn't assume that people know that they have to comply with that also. Maybe to add on to a room or remodel a kitchen or something, but who knows? Maybe they think that because the government's funding something or getting, or helping, that they can just slap a 50-foot windmill up there or something. So that's all part of the marketing.
question?
May I quickly respond to that?
Sure.
So we won't fund without the appropriate permits. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone else have questions? Irene?
I have a couple things. Well, first of all, I was happy to hear that there's no prepayment penalty for residential, because that bothered me a lot, that it might apply to people. I'm a little cautious about the interest rate you're charging. 5 to 7% is what is in our staff report, and the lowest amount is $5,000. Is that how it works? It just seems a high interest rate and kind of a high bottom $5,000 limit, lower limit.
Okay, well, the interest rates, property assessed clean energy fits between consumer credit, where unfortunately most, air conditioning or heating failures, where that gets financed, right? So somebody's furnace goes out in the wintertime, they're using some form of consumer credit to get their warm air by Friday. So that interest rate is here. While some folks may have access to, let's say, a second line of credit on their home or second mortgage or so forth, where that interest rate is here, PACE typically fits in between. So if somebody has access to maybe some other sources of financing, maybe PACE isn't for them. But what we're finding is rapid adoption with PACE for a number of reasons, and interest rate doesn't, while it's very competitive, isn't the primary driver of why folks are choosing to use PACE. So all else being equal, we expect rates to come down over time as the securitization of these bonds, which we've successfully accomplished, becomes more commonplace. We see the cost coming down. But we're seeing property owners automatically choose the longest term, which doesn't mean the lowest rate. What property owners like is easy to do business with. We answer 40,000 phone calls a month. Contractors can use this tool without interrupting the workflow. They have tax deductible capabilities with PACE that they don't have with consumer credit. So the effective rate is much lower. Additionally, if the lender permits at time of sale, that assessment, as well as the permanent improvement and the utility savings, stay with the property. So a lot of those reasons may be attractive for some folks.
Okay, so if I may. So let me get this straight.
Yes.
So the people want to put solar on their roof, or put
Yes.
a new roof and then put solar. So
Yes.
they come to you and you get the contractor, or?
Yeah, so no, we're a financing mechanism, and we have an infrastructure that helps make this process smooth and easy. We're not a contractor. So we work with your local contracting community to help them bring this tool to their business. What property owners typically do, and in almost all cases for us, they have a job that they want to do, whether that's because something failed or it's because discretionary, let's say, like solar. They find the job, they select their contractor, then they think about the financing. That's where we fit in, and we work mostly with contractors as being one of their financing choices. But they have to be certified, they have to adhere to a code of conduct. We do a lot of things in formalized consumer protection, but if they come to us directly, we're going to recommend that they find a contractor that works with Hero, and we make it easy for contractors to participate, but they do have to get certified.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Rico? Okay. Any more discussion or action by the council?
Through the chair, I'll introduce the resolution.
Councilmember Ibera.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Medina.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye.